the Los Angeles Dodgers have just made one of the most shocking and emotionally charged roster decisions of the entire season. Charlie Barnes has been designated for assignment. Not because of a slow decline. Not because of a quiet underperformance that built up over months. But because of a single moment that crossed a line that no player in that clubhouse should ever cross. Barnes rejected Ohtani's advice on the mound. He yelled at him in front of his teammates. And the entire Dodgers organization responded with a decision that sent a message louder than any press conference ever could. When you disrespect Shohei Ohtani in this clubhouse, there are consequences. Barnes just became the most painful example of that truth. What did you think when you first heard the news of Barnes being designated for assignment? Honestly, the DFA itself wasn't the most shocking part. When a pitcher is struggling the way Barnes was struggling, roster decisions like this are always on the table. What made this situation truly extraordinary was the reason behind it. A player rejecting advice from a teammate is not uncommon in baseball. Disagreements happen. Egos clash. That is part of the game. But rejecting advice from Shohei Ohtani and then yelling at him in front of the entire team is something on a completely different level. That is not a disagreement. That is a statement. And the Dodgers front office responded to that statement with one of their own. Let's go back to what actually happened on that mound. Barnes was struggling. His mechanics were off. His command was broken. And in that moment, Ohtani, a man who understands pitching at a level that very few people in the history of this sport have ever understood it, approached Barnes with genuine advice. This wasn't a power move. This wasn't Ohtani trying to embarrass anyone. This was one professional trying to help another professional get through a difficult moment. And Barnes rejected it. Not quietly. Not privately. He rejected it loudly, in front of his teammates, in front of the coaching staff, in front of everyone watching that dugout. That moment changed everything. From a teammate's perspective, what does it feel like to watch something like that happen? It is genuinely uncomfortable. Because when you see a player reject help from someone like Ohtani, you realize immediately that this isn't about baseball mechanics anymore. This is about ego. This is about a player who is so caught up in his own frustration that he can't see the gift being offered to him. Every single player in that dugout understood what Ohtani was trying to do. And every single player in that dugout felt the disrespect when Barnes turned it away and raised his voice. You could feel the temperature in that clubhouse change in that exact moment. What makes this situation even more significant is the context of who Ohtani is right now. This is not just any teammate offering advice. This is a man who is currently posting an ERA in the 0.74 range while simultaneously batting over .400 in recent weeks. This is a man who has received first-place MVP votes from 30 out of 35 candidates in the latest mock voting. This is arguably the best baseball player on the planet right now, in the middle of a historic season, taking time out of his own preparation to help a struggling teammate. The fact that Barnes rejected that help and responded with anger is not just disrespectful to Ohtani personally. It is disrespectful to every standard of professionalism that the Dodgers organization has built. How did the rest of the Dodgers players react in that moment? The reports coming out of the clubhouse suggest that the reaction was immediate and intense. These are players who have watched Ohtani pour everything into this season. They have watched him prepare, adjust, compete, and elevate the entire organization with his presence. They have seen firsthand what kind of teammate he is, selfless, professional, always focused on the team winning above everything else. When Barnes yelled at him, the Dodgers players didn't just feel angry on Ohtani's behalf. They felt angry on behalf of every standard they hold themselves to every single day. That kind of reaction from a locker room is not something a player recovers from easily. Let's talk about Barnes as a pitcher for a moment, because the baseball side of this cannot be completely ignored. His numbers this season had already been heading in the wrong direction before this incident. His ERA had been climbing. His command had been inconsistent. His ability to get through innings cleanly had become a genuine problem for a rotation that has championship expectations. The Dodgers have too much at stake this season to carry a pitcher who is both underperforming on the mound and creating problems in the clubhouse. When you combine those two things together, the decision to DFA him becomes not just understandable but absolutely necessary. From a pitching perspective, what was Barnes actually doing wrong in that game? His release point was inconsistent from the very first inning. When a pitcher loses his release point, everything else falls apart with it. His fastball was losing velocity at exactly the wrong moments. His breaking ball had no bite. Batters were sitting on his pitches because he had become completely predictable. In that kind of situation, even a minor mechanical adjustment can make a significant difference. That is exactly what Ohtani recognized. That is exactly what he was trying to offer. A small correction that could have changed the entire trajectory of Barnes's outing. Instead, Barnes chose pride over performance. And the game suffered for it. The Dodgers ended up losing that game. And in a pennant race where every single game matters, a loss like that carries weight far beyond the box score. Manager Dave Roberts has spoken carefully about the situation in public, as managers always do. But reading between the lines of what he said, the message is clear. This organization has standards. Those standards apply to everyone. And when a player's behavior in a high-pressure situation causes the team to lose a game they should have won, there are consequences that follow. The DFA is not just a roster move. It is a statement of values from the entire Dodgers organization. What does this mean for the Dodgers going forward? In the short term, they will need to find a replacement arm to fill the rotation spot that Barnes is vacating. The good news is that the Dodgers have the deepest farm system in baseball and the financial flexibility to address any need that arises. Whether they promote from within or make a move on the trade market, they will find a solution. That is what this organization does. The more important question is what the Barnes situation communicates to every other player on this roster. The message is unmistakable. No player is bigger than the team. No ego is more important than the collective standard. And when you cross the line of basic professional respect in this clubhouse, the consequences are real. From Ohtani's perspective, how do you think he processed what happened? This is what makes Ohtani truly remarkable as a competitor. He didn't retaliate. He didn't escalate. He offered help, Barnes rejected it, and Ohtani responded by continuing to compete with everything he had. That kind of emotional discipline is extraordinarily rare. Most players in that situation would have pulled back. They would have withdrawn from the situation and let the pitcher figure it out on his own. Ohtani continued to try to contribute to a win even after being publicly disrespected. That tells you everything about his character and why this entire organization rallies around him the way it does. The Barnes situation is ultimately a story about what happens when individual ego collides with collective excellence. The Dodgers have built something genuinely special this season. They have a culture of accountability, professionalism, and mutual respect that starts at the very top and runs through every corner of that organization. When Barnes yelled at Ohtani, he wasn't just disrespecting one teammate. He was rejecting the entire culture that has made this team a championship contender. And the Dodgers front office, the coaching staff, and the players in that clubhouse responded exactly the way a championship organization should respond. Charlie Barnes had the rarest opportunity in baseball. He had the greatest two-way player in the history of the sport standing right in front of him, offering to help him be better. He threw that opportunity away. He raised his voice. He chose his ego over his team. And now he is paying the price for that decision in the most public and painful way possible. The Dodgers made their message clear today. In this clubhouse, there is one standard. You respect your teammates. You compete for the team. And you never, under any circumstances, raise your voice at Shohei Ohtani. The rest of the league is watching. And they all understand exactly what this moment means.